Hey, Ben Norman here, and in today's video I want to talk about the COVID-19 crisis, lockdown, and how it's affecting business and how you can try and ensure that you still are able to grow and achieve business growth within this time, because this is affecting a lot of businesses, some positively, some negatively, but instead of just joining in with the utter chaos and panic that a lot of businesses are currently going through, you need to kind of stop and take account of where you are. And that brings us on to point number one, which is you need to revisit your business plan, look at your projections, look at your targets, look at the trend where you are against your plan. If you're still on track, what's happening currently within your business. Are you seeing it peaking? Are you doing better because of the crisis, or worse? Now, if you're a restaurant or the hospitality sector is something that has really been hit with this, and some people are being forced into kind of just going more into like hibernation mode. They've had to shut the restaurants. One way to get around this is by flipping more into takeaway, so delivery style restaurants, as they're still currently being able to trade. So shut down the restaurant, keep the kitchen open, and sign up for things like delivery and Just Eat, so that you can still trade. You can still basically deliver food that way while it's currently being allowed. But some businesses are also currently doing better because of this. Home delivery has gone up. People are on lockdown, so social activity has gone up something crazy. I think it's like 27% in March versus previous. So we're seeing a lot of trends change online, and I think that a lot of businesses are currently in that panic mode because everybody else is panicking, shutting things down, putting people on furlough. And everyone's kind of joining in the hysteria rather than standing back, looking at the plan, looking at the business case, looking at your cash flow, because what you want to ensure is that you're executing against your plan. All right, that's kind of changed now because of this crisis, but you need to then adapt the plan and work out what you're going to do rather than just sort of panic shutting everything down, because that's not always the answer. Sometimes you need to just pivot the business slightly and then take advantage of it, and be able to still kind of service your market, maybe a slightly different market, or maybe in a slightly different way. So step one is really just going back to your business plan, understanding where you are and what you need to change. Okay, so point two really is remote working. This is going to be essential moving forwards. All businesses should have disaster recovery planning in place. Remote working should be part of this. I know it's not applicable to every single business, but for most businesses, you should be able to operate remotely. If you're a service product-based business, you're doing whatever you are doing, unless you are a physical bricks and mortar only business that is in one location and relies on trade, typically like a restaurant or hospitality like that. These businesses are now going to have to try and learn to adapt into more of a remote working style. I keep talking about restaurants, but if you're a restaurant looking at this, okay, are we going to pivot more into a luxury home delivery food brand, rather than a typical people come to our restaurant, we take that dining experience to them. Nightclubs, they're obviously shut down, but instead of just shutting down and going, right, we're doomed, okay, why are we not looking at, VR? There's certain technologies that are going to massively advance now because of this current situation. I believe that things like this immersive technology, like virtual reality, is going to be one, because, this could be set for the next 3 months of isolation. It could go on 6 months longer. Nobody really knows at this current point. But, people are still going to want to feel like they're going out, that they're socializing. You are going to start to see apps developed where people can put on their VR headset and they're out in a club talking with their mates as if they were there. And this stuff all might sound a bit crazy now, but these are all things that will happen in the future. And all that's going to happen now is this going to be advanced. So, when you say remote working and people just go, well, I'm not an office, it's not as simple as giving someone a laptop and letting them work from home. You need to be able to look at your current business and work out how you can pivot it, adapt it, or change it so that it can work in more of a remote environment. And that leads me on to point 3, which is all about technology. Now, a lot of businesses, as we've just recently seen, laptop sales have gone through the roof because businesses are now going, we need people working from home. We've got them all desktops. We've been on laptops for like the last 8 or so years because one year, very early in my marketing agency's days, it snowed and people couldn't get into the office for like 2 days. It caused chaos. So we worked out after that, the next IT upgrade, we got laptops, so that people could work from home if needed. And that was kind of the start of all of this for us. But now people are starting to do that. So looking at technology purchases, how you adapt those. If you're looking to get a new phone system, an office-based PBX phone system might not be the best option for you. Maybe looking at a VoIP system, which is a totally software-based system. People can have apps on their own mobile phones. They can have soft clients on their laptops, and it means that wherever they are with their laptop or their mobile phone, their office phone is there too. So in a remote working environment, this is perfect. Looking at things like servers, and instead of having them in your own physical server room, having them remotely, because you may not be in your server environment at your office set up for remote. Their business is built around all of these kinds of contingencies, and you let them do the heavy lifting for you. So it's looking at all of your technology and looking at all of your systems and working out how they work in a remote world. How you can have all of this stuff in the cloud rather than having to have it in a physical location that you've got to manage and kind of be reliant on. Okay, the next point, we're going on to things like processes. Processes have to adapt. Processes, systems, the environment, the processes have to adapt to take into account that people might not be in the office all the time. So, how do your processes need to change with your systems to allow people to work from home and still be productive and get stuff done? And while we're on this remote working, home working, a lot of people get very fearful about allowing people to remote work because they actually fear that people will do less work. But actually there's been loads of studies on this, and what it shows is that people actually do more work and are more productive at home. Yeah, I'm not going to deny that they might sit and watch Emmerdale in an afternoon or take slightly longer for lunch or put their washing on in the morning when they're on a conference call. But people actually will work harder from home because they need to prove the point that they're working. When people turn up to the office, it's easy to come in the morning and say, well, yeah, but I was here, I'm here at 10 to 9 every day. You're here at 10 to 9, and you go and put a coffee on, you chat to people for half an hour. People feel because they've walked into a building sometimes they're at work, whereas at home it's different. They look at the actual work they put in. They do not want to be put in a situation where they're accused of not actually doing that work. So, and also in my experience with allowing people to home work, we have, I think, only once run into problems with people remote working, and that was down to one employee, and that's because they were a bit of a cretin, in all honesty, and they should never have been employed in the first place. But you don't just throw everything out and say this doesn't work because of one person. It's the person that doesn't fit the system, not the system fitting the people. So that's the kind of the technology and the process side of things. And that leads us nicely into the next point, which is people. You have to have the right people, and the people need to be positioned in the right way to work from home. It isn't for everybody. Some people really don't like working at home. But then coming back into technology, because some people feel isolated, and that's where the technology helps. Having things like regular hangouts for the whole team where they're all seeing each other, like these online hangouts, video hangouts. These are really useful, making sure that employees don't feel isolated, that you don't come into HR issues or people feeling down or isolated and things like that. It's making sure that the processes are there so things get done, the systems are there to support the people doing the work, and that the work can get done seamlessly, and they've got the right environment at home, etc. And that people know what's expected, if there is a problem, what do they do, and that, working from home should be pretty seamless like that. So all in all, I hope that helps, and I know that I've kind of dotted around a little bit, but I think it's really important that I can't reiterate this enough. Instead of people just running around in a blind panic, you need to look at the last recession. Things like Uber and Airbnb and all of these other big things, they came out of that. These businesses were formed from that because there was a change. There was a change, when the internet first came around, businesses adapted, went with it, and grew massively. You get other businesses like Toys R Us, they're not here anymore because they didn't adapt with the times. They didn't take advantage of the online ecosystem. They just took advantage of their big stores that people went into, and that changed and they disappeared. So, these are new times, they are crazy. This hopefully will be the last time anything like this ever happens to us, but it's not likely. If this happened once, I believe that in the future when something happens, governments will be a lot quicker to initiate lockdowns this time. So I think it's really important to heed the warnings and work out what you need to do to adapt and change your business to kind of be able to facilitate remote working or adapt your business so that, even if people are like this and, people are stuck in their homes, like how do you still service them? How, what kind of way can you pivot your business, in order to make this work in your advantage, capitalize more on the market and deliver more to your customers to provide that value still, even in a state of lockdown. I'd love to know what you think. I'd love to know what you're doing with your business at the moment in order to kind of combat all this COVID-19 stuff. So, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear.